it is time for some cardio. We're doing cardio outside right now. I'm doing it 5 times a week for an hour, 60 minutes. So it's a very nice start of the day just to do cardio in the morning, walking outside, sometimes using the bicycle. But yeah, it's very healthy too, especially when you're getting heavy, or when you are heavy. Doing cardio is very good and a very good way of burning energy because every step costs quite a lot of energy. Okay, now it's getting exciting because I'm starting to lose true fat. The definition is starting to show more and more, and when that happens you look bigger and bigger despite your weight going down or staying the same. Maybe when you're filling out at the same time you will look a lot bigger because of the illusion of bodybuilding. That's what it's all about, and that's what I will certainly bring to the stage. And look at this environment, you guys. Isn't it amazing? Pure nature. It's the best way to spend the morning, walking in nature. I really like it. Time flies. Before you know it, you've burned a lot of energy. Burned a lot of fat again. And that's what it's all about. So, when I go home, I will have my first meal. Oatmeal, almonds, raisins, whey, almond milk, and cinnamon. Then I'll have 3 more meals with rice and fish and vegetables. And then I will go to the gym to train legs.
Training legs indeed, and I'm training alone today, so I'm modifying my workout just a little bit, but still making it as difficult as possible, as challenging as possible. I actually first started out with some leg extensions, warming up the knees and warming up the quads before doing the back squat. Why? Because I want to feel the pump in the muscle that I'm working. Sometimes when starting out with a back squat, you just cannot really get into the muscle itself before tiring out your body. At least in my case, that's what's happening. So starting out with a pre-exhaustion exercise actually targets that muscle before doing the compound exercise to aid that muscle, to work that muscle. And I'm actually doing 8 sets of squats, but when I reach 140 kilos, I will actually do a lot of sets with just that weight. And trust me, every consecutive set with the same weight will feel more and more difficult. Then you're actually able to focus more on your form, on your muscles, on the contraction, the mind-muscle connection. You know, this is set number 4. Now we're starting out with 140 kilos, 10 reps, and we're going to do this for 4 more sets. This means if you don't go up in weight, that the break in between sets is shorter, the pump in the leg is greater, and you can really focus on the muscles in your legs rather than keeping your entire body tight and making it kind of a full body exercise. And some of you who may be power lifters or more specialized in these combat movements might notice that I have something called the butt wink. So when I go all the way down, at least 90 degrees, you can see that my pelvis is tucking under my back. You know, it's kind of slight, but it's there. A lot of people seem to think that it's because of hamstring tightness, but that's not the case because I stretch my hamstrings all the time. And it's actually been proven that when you are of a certain structure, bone-wise, that you simply cannot go down deep enough without some sort of butt wink. And since I'm pretty tall, and since I've always had this problem even after 7 years of squatting, I would say that is the case, but I've never had any problem with it at all. So I still feel my legs entirely, so don't worry too much if you have that, unless it's a very extreme version. So now that we finished off all the sets for the back squat, it's time for the hack squat. The back squat really works the entire legs, the glutes, the quads and the hamstrings, and this one is focusing a lot more on the quads themselves, especially when you put your feet close together as I am doing right here, you know, about shoulder width, a little bit narrower than that, and that targets the sweep of the quads, and that's what I'm working. And as you can see, I'm not going up all the way, I'm going a little short of locking out to keep the tension there.
Okay guys, What I'm doing right now, I did leg extensions before, warming up the quads. Then I did some back squats, and I stopped at 140 kilos and 5 sets of that to really tire out the legs and not the entire body, because when I go too heavy on the squats, what I notice, my entire body is tired and my legs aren't as pumped, and right now I can definitely feel the pump on my legs. And right now we're going to do hack squats. We're doing hack squats. It's a narrow stance, working the sweep of the legs. So let's do it.
Since the legs are pretty fatigued from the last exercise, the back squat, you don't want to go too heavy on the hack squat or on any other compound exercise you do afterwards. If you are able to, however, you did not put enough tension on the legs before, so remember that. If at the end of the workout you can still go really heavy and you still feel energy in those legs, there's something you haven't done right. I mean, it's not to bash anyone, but you really want to make the most out of every single exercise, so you want to really work the maximum amount of muscle fibers every time you do an exercise to make sure you get the full benefit of it. And this is a view from the side. I'm going a little deeper than 90 degrees to get a maximum stretch on the quads. In my opinion, when I don't go all the way down, I don't feel the stretch in my quads, and I just feel less of a mind-muscle connection.
Okay guys, my final set of these hack squats. Keeping the tension low, not locking out all the way. Keeping the tension on the quads, making it a lot more difficult. And I'm wearing the leg day shirt, by the way. We've got arm day, we've got chest day, shirts and tank top, so check it out on the vintagegenetics.com website, and thank you if you do. Anyway, let's do this last set right now.
Well, if you ever recorded yourself doing an exercise, you know what I mean. When you're doing the actual exercise, in your mind it is very difficult. It feels very fatiguing. It feels like you're almost about to stop dead in the movement, but when you watch the footage back, you go pretty smoothly and you're like, how the hell was this so difficult? So sometimes in video it might look very smooth, but in reality it's very difficult. And yeah, because a lot of people wanted to see a leg update, I'm showing you right here. Obviously there's no definition in there at all, as I've already done a couple of sets of leg exercises, but this is just to gauge a little bit of progression. And usually you cannot look at the legs by themselves, but always in comparison to the upper body. And I would say I made some progression, especially in the thickness area of the legs, so I'm pretty happy with the progression. Alright, and this exercise I'm doing right here, the flat leg press or the horizontal leg press, that is a very good exercise to put minimal stress on the knees versus stress on the quads. I actually did a research comparing this leg press versus the angled leg press, which most people know, the regular leg press when you're pressing pretty much up in an angle. There is less stress on the knees here compared to the other leg press when you compare the stress on the knees with the stress on the quads, if you know what I mean.
Damn, bruh.
So this is a very great way to finish off the quads and just go all out with it, but you cannot actually go too heavy here. As I've mentioned in another video, this weight you see right here is actually a much higher difficulty than the same weight on the angled leg press, because a flat leg press is more difficult than an angled one. After all those compound movements, it's time for some isolation movements of the abductors and the adductors. The abductors is basically your side glutes. And on stage, which I will be on very soon, it is important to show every single detail. Especially nowadays, they really cry about having good glutes, so I guess I have to work it appropriately. You know, big glutes on a stage apparently is a plus point, so I'll do anything to make sure to win the competition while remaining absolutely classic, of course. No bubble gut bonanza here. And this is the adductors. Because the machine is pretty light, even though it goes up to 100 kilos, the way to make it difficult is to actually hold it for a second at the contraction stage. This makes it a lot more difficult, increases the time under tension, and therefore makes the same weight that would otherwise be light feel heavy. And then the seated calf raise. I decided to do 8 sets of this, so I'm only doing this exercise, the seated calf raise. Sometimes it's good to focus just on one exercise instead of 2 different ones if you really want to go all out on a single exercise. Sometimes people like to do the seated calf raise for 3 sets and then go over to the standing calf raise, but if you don't have developed calves, sometimes it's smarter to stay to one exercise during one workout, and the next workout you go to another exercise, of course. But this is to really go to the maximum and not cheating yourself by not going to the maximum because you're saving up for the following exercise. And I'm showing you these different angles so actually see the 2 halves of the calf that you're both training if you contract the calves properly. So yeah. So this was the leg workout, you guys. Again, check out vintagegenetics.com for the new training day gear. I want to thank you for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.